The hell? What the hell? You guys watch TikTok?
Okay, and here we go, everybody. We are live. Today is Monday, April 19th, and we've got yet another brand new Forrest Fenn panel, and you may see another familiar face from last night. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. I got a couple housekeeping things to do before we turn it over to K-Pro and we get this panel going, and that is a big congratulations to me and K-Pro because we did, in fact, close on a house today, everybody. Of course, I get a phone call right in the middle. We did close on a house today. So I just want to say thank you to K-Pro because without her, it would not have happened. So, yeah, but you guys aren't here to hear about us. You guys are here to talk about Jack and the end of the Thrill of the Chase. But before we do that, I just want to remind everybody there are other treasure hunts out there, and one of them is called Legend Has It. It is a treasure hunt in Arizona. And at the end of the show, I'm going to give an update. I just got an update from the creators, like literally a couple minutes ago. The prize pool update is a big one, but we are going to give away a free gift card to that treasure hunt. All you have to do is go subscribe to the video that we did with Toby last night. I'm going to put the link in the chat. Just go subscribe to that or go comment on that video. Subscribe, of course, and thumbs the video up, like the video. But go comment on that video, and at the end of the show, I'll use Comment Picker to pick one person. The only caveat is you have to be watching. You have to be in the live chat when we pick your name. There it is. As always, super chat's on. If you guys want to show support or say thank you, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and K-Pro, take it away for this Forrest Fenn panel.
Well, I have a couple of other things some people have asked about the Legends group. You want to be Team K-Pro. There is a Zoom after this. Email Mike if you want to be on Team K-Pro because that's the only winning team. They're already saying they know the location. That's a bunch of hooey. This one isn't like Copper Dan's hunt. It's not going to be solved within 10 minutes. So we will start to dive in.
Hooey, did you say?
Copper Dan had a hunt. You probably didn't hear about it because it got solved within about 10 minutes. And so we have a little rivalry going on because it's Team K-Pro versus Copper Dan on this new hunt that's out there. So we kind of throw some shade at each other. So that's the first thing. Two other housekeeping things before we introduce the panel. If you are going boots on the ground, I've been communicating and gave an interview to a reporter that his question is, why are we all still here? And I thought initially, because he had some hard-hitting questions, it was going to be rather negative. It's actually turned to be quite positive. If you are thinking about going boots on the ground this search season, email me at kpro3@aol.com if you would like to talk to him. He wants to talk to a few of those people. I'm not planning to unless a GPS solve or something pops up. But I did tell him I would pass that on. Then I will leave until afterwards, but the photo analysis report is out. Nothing in the chase can be easy. It seems that the gentleman has analyzed the wrong photos. And there's some other controversy behind it.
What?
I will just say I got the report. I put it out like I was asked. And we just got back from signing papers, and there were 85 comments and many things happening. Some things I think need to be settled before we can discuss it more. But oh my goodness, you can't make this up. You can't make this up, this ending, this horrible, crappy ending that Jack could change if he wants to. Hi, Jack. Thanks for being here. I know you're not on the panel tonight, but we know you're here. We know you're watching. We want to talk some Forrest Fenn things. And so there's three things that we're going to probably be talking about tonight. Anything is open to talk about, but we specifically have people here tonight to talk. One, what did you think about the AGK clips? Jack was emailing. Jack was texting. Jack was stalking AGK for the answers. I think it was found because of AGK. That's just my opinion. So we have Toby here. Then we have John here, who is a lawyer. He'll talk about his background or interest in the hunt, and he can give some general legal perspective. And then Rudy is here specifically for, if you see that chest back there, that is one of the Vetti chests. I know that's been in the hot spot of discussions, but also was a real key part of systematically going through the AGK videos where you didn't have to listen to 700 hours. You could do it with this thing called technology on the internet. So he can bring that perspective. And then Josh is a searcher, new person. We always love new people. So I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves, but those are the three topics. We will discuss legal stuff. We will discuss the Vetti chest, and we will discuss the hard-hitting AGK. We heard Jack, not only in text, but in live. So if you have a question for the panel, put @KPro and I will try to read it. If you super chat it, Mike takes over, hits a soundboard, the whole world stops, and you get your question answered. So without further ado, who are you, Joshua? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll get everybody introduced, and then we'll dive into content.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Joshua. I'm from West Virginia, and I'm relatively new to the search community. Like Jack, I became interested in the treasure in 2018, and I always made sure to check in periodically for updates, but I became completely obsessed after the treasure chest was found last year. I don't post a lot in the forums, but I'm on the subreddit every day, and Thor has become like my nightly ritual to fall asleep to every night. And it's just a pleasure to be here because I've spent so much time watching all of you guys. Toby, I'm relatively new to you as well, but in the past few days, I've been watching a lot of your clips. Rudy, I thought your series on comparing the chapters in The Thrill of the Chase to the articles that Fenn wrote in the Bozeman was fascinating and really informative. And then, of course, KPro and Cal, I've been watching you guys for a while too. So I feel like I'm in a room full of celebrities. So I'll do like my best to give my opinion. But at the same time, I'm just really kind of hoping for some killer soundboards and maybe a few autographs afterwards. Yeah.
I liked you until soundboards.
Oh, that
Thank you for
reminds
being here,
me.
Joshua. Oh,
Thank
great.
you.
And I wish I could be on Reddit all the time. They don't let me post, and when I do, they delete my stuff. So I think Reddit is great, just the moderators aren't so great there, at least to me, sometimes to Mike. But I do enjoy because so much is happening over there. It's awesome. Rudy, over to you.
Hey folks, I'm Rudy Greene. I've been searching since, let's see, January of 2017. First in Wyoming, and then the last 2 years of the chase, I was searching the Red Canyon area in Montana unsuccessfully. Turns out I was in the wrong state. I have the very first chest that Chris Jones made, which you can see behind me here. It was mentioned earlier. And I was involved, I don't want to take credit for anything that anyone else did. I didn't find any of the stuff that Jack had shared with AGK, but I was talking to other people who were working with that and collecting and editing some of the transcripts, particularly with the June 14th one, which had some very, very interesting statements. I think if you analyze Jack's words in there. So I've been playing with that, and I'm working on, I've did about a month ago a project comparing stories between the Bozeman Chronicle articles along with how they were presented in The Thrill of the Chase, because that's something that Jack specifically said was one of the steps that he used in solving the poem. And I published all those PDFs on Thor. They didn't get a whole lot of attention, but the material's out there for people who want to research that aspect of it.
Yeah, and Rudy, I want to talk to you afterwards. I have an email secondhand from somebody of exactly what you said. I didn't think it was out, or it was new to me, about it needed to be heavily edited from previous versions. If it's not, my word for me, rule it out, which that was surprising to me. I just got it yesterday. So it looks like I'm one step behind you. That happens a lot. So that'll be cool to talk
the
about.
cognitive bias video that Jack had posted on YouTube, he specifically says in there as one of the steps, he says, look at the previous versions of the story that were published elsewhere, because that is where Forrest used the opportunity to plant hints. So don't necessarily look at my analysis of that. I'd recommend people download the PDFs and read them, because then you sort of have a fresh start with it. But I think that's one of the steps that we're going to need to go through in order to finish solving this thing.
Yeah, fascinating. That's awesome. That will be a future show. People are already asking to do shows. And Rudy, you have a YouTube channel where you've already started going over them, right?
Yes, I created the documents. There's 6 different PDF files. They're all posted on Thor under the headline Comparing Stories. And then I sort of just improv'd and you know, I'd read them through and then gave my own ideas, which aren't necessarily correct, but there's some interesting things in there, and I think they're worth the analysis.
Nice. It is interesting what takes off and what doesn't take off between the forums and things. So it's kind of interesting. But that's why rule out My War for Me. Jack said to. He said the My War for Me wasn't heavily edited from the previous version that Forrest put out. This just came up yesterday. Rudy's already well aware of it. We'll talk about that another time because we have so much happening. Toby, AGK, no, it's M&M. What? Who are you?
Toby Younis, long time. So I started the search in 2012, shot 12 or 13 of Fenn's events and made 600 videos on the subject of the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt. And they're still up there. You can see them. We just had some, so we did our own treasure hunt at Gypsy's Kiss. It was found in 3 months and we were left hanging in the wind trying to decide what to do next. We've been experimenting and we're playing with it. One of the outcomes of that is messages and methods. If you want to see what's going on with it, watch on Wednesday night at 7 p.m.
Excellent. And Rudy, you're the home of Brown, right? On Thor?
Yes, I post under the Home of Brown.
Okay. I'm getting some links for you guys that are asking for it in chat. I'll get it over there as we go. And John, who are you?
Well, I'm John Genga. I'm a lawyer from Los Angeles. I'm kind of an outsider to an extent. I will bring a 30,000-foot perspective, if you will, to questions that might be asked, because I know a little bit about the Forrest Fenn thing. My family dabbled in it. My wife and her partner actually are starting their own treasure hunt that will probably get going in about August.
Oh, make sure they let us know when
yeah, we will.
that
Yeah,
happens.
they definitely will. Hillary and Sean. Hillary's my wife. Sean's her partner. The three of us actually worked on another one together that we solved 10 minutes after someone else had solved it. So them's the breaks. So, but I know a little bit about that. There's some controversy surrounding the location, the finding of the treasure, and if it really happened, or whether there was some shenanigans that went on. I don't know all the details, but apparently there are some legal questions, and I'm happy to answer them to the best of my ability. So,
is there an area of law you specialize in?
Well, I do business, intellectual property, and entertainment litigation. I litigate in the state and federal courts and in international forums. And so I know, there apparently there's some litigation that's gone on or commenced and then been withdrawn. And I don't know any of the details of it, but if anyone wants to ask me some questions about those things, I can talk generally about how these things work and what causes of action there might be, what privileges there might be, what statutes of limitations there might be, that sort of thing.
There's a few in there. The first one that I want to ask, just because you said IP is your specialty. So some searchers have said, and one is actually litigated to say, well, maybe even more than one, this was my solve. Jack took it from me, either off the internet. I posted it on a forum. Let's say I posted my solve because I thought it was wrong. And Jack stole it because he took it off the public internet and went and found it. Can I sue? Can I say that was my solve, so I should get half or 50? I don't know.
Not if you choose to publish it. You don't own anything. If you want to protect it, it's a solution. It's an idea. It's not like a story, for example, that's copyrightable. It's a fact, and facts aren't protectable. So if you discover a fact and then decide to publish it to the world, you have no one to blame but yourself. So you could keep it confidential, and if you never tell anybody about it and you go out and find it yourself, that's fine. But if as soon as you publish it, you don't have any claim to that fact as being yours.
And K-Pro, you sound real low for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Tell me if you guys, can you hear me now?
It's a little quiet, yeah.
We hear you, it's just quiet. It's real low. I don't know why.
So John, may I ask a question about what Christy just spoke about? So if I have I always refer to them as theory. So if I have a solve and I don't implement that solve, and in the meantime, somebody recovers the treasure, I find out later that they used the same solve. I don't know how you do that, but up until that time, it's simply your theory, right? It's not even fact because you haven't recovered it.
Right. Unless and until you act on it, or until you, right. Unless you act on it, it's not anything. It's just
Yeah.
something in your head.
Right.
And there's no, can't protect it.
Right.
My question really fast is wasn't there something, maybe it was in the Barbara Anderson lawsuit, where that it wasn't a published solve, that maybe there's an allegation that Jack hacked the email?
That's her allegation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
her allegation, and she never referred to him by name. She said that the finder, the finder had hacked her email. The problem was her finder and her treasure was all in New Mexico. And so whoever did, and she had no evidence. It was only her word against the courts that someone had hacked her computer, taken the solution and recovered it from New Mexico. She never, the Wyoming does not come up in her filings. It's all New Mexico.
Does that change things from a legal perspective then?
It would. It would. I mean, assuming you have it and you're maintaining something on a confidential basis, and then someone uses improper means to access it, like hacking.
Yeah.
Then there would be a cause of action there. That would be, it could qualify, for example, as a trade secret. A trade secret is information that's not generally known, that has value from not being generally known. And the second element of the trade secret is that you have to maintain it as a secret. And if you do, and you use reasonable measures to maintain the secrecy, and notwithstanding that someone circumvents those measures and gains access to it and uses it without your permission, then you'd have a cause of action.
Right.
And then let me just
assuming
ask,
that were true,
Yeah.
assuming that allegation were true and provable, then she would have a claim.
Well, it's not, and it isn't.
Well, it doesn't surprise me, but yeah.
well, and I know some people are thinking this in the chat. So some people, when they post their solution or their theories on various forums or blogs, they copyright it. They have a little thing at the bottom of their post that says, this is copyrighted by me. And I believe some people have actually copyrighted it, however you do such things. But once they publish it and it becomes in the public domain, there's nothing to keep me from acting on their solution. I may not be able to reproduce the post, but
Right.
I can read it and come up with my own conclusions and actually travel there. Correct?
The answer to that is yes. You absolutely could. Yeah,
Okay.
you can't protect. Yeah, copyright protects certain things. It protects the right to reproduce. It protects the right to publicly perform. It protects the right to distribute. It protects the right to publish. But it doesn't protect the right to. The copyright doesn't say you can't read my idea and act on it.
We did get a super chat from Copper Dan, and our old buddy Copper Dan with the $5 super chat says, I'm going to hide my next treasure under a park bench. Then at least I don't have to worry about K-Pro finding it. Love you, K-Pro. That's pretty funny, Dan. I'll give you that. And I'll give you this one for K-Pro.
Not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom.
She's still a cool mom. It doesn't matter if she didn't find it or not. So, all right. Thanks, Dan. Legend has it. Me and K-Pro and her, we have teams going head to head. Okay. Back to you, K-Pro.
So now I want to ask another lawyer question. Room, you can ask anybody, but I have a feeling we're going to be focusing a little bit on John. Does attorney-client privilege eliminate or end when the person passes away? So Forrest has an attorney. If Forrest passes away, can Forrest's attorney speak to the things that were under attorney-client privilege?
No.
The answer to that generally is no. Attorney-client privilege is a creature of state law. I can tell you in California that the privilege in the case of an individual passes to his estate. And once the estate is concluded, resolved, distributions are made, and say it's a trust and the trust ends, or the distribution by will or intestate succession, and once that concludes, then there's no one who's able to assert the privilege. And at that point, the privilege doesn't apply.
Okay.
So at this point, my guess would be that Fenn probably had a will, probably had a trust, and there's probably representatives that still hold the privilege that he and the lawyer is obligated to maintain the privilege unless or until his client waives it, or until the holder of the privilege waives it.
So we do have a little bit of breaking news. Do you want me to, somebody emailed us something today, K-Pro, that you confirmed. Do you want me to talk about that right now? It's breaking news to me, and I would like to know if anybody on the panel had heard this before.
I always like when you're so general like that. This
It's still low. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe plug it
in.
back in. I don't know.
Plug it, push the plug in.
It's
Which
getting
is all
lower.
it is.
It's getting lower every time. It sounds
Well,
like.
she switched headsets, but
Oh.
okay. So this is what happened. A searcher reached out to us. Actually, I got to do this. Let's do it while K-Pro can't talk.
Here we go.
I would be interested if, well, John, I know you probably haven't heard it, but especially Toby and Rudy Greene, Joshua, I know you're a little bit newer. Somebody reached out and said that they, that Forrest told them, and actually she produced the email, that Forrest told them that Skippy, his brother Skippy, did in fact know the location where he wanted to die. And then K-Pro says, oh yeah, Forrest told me that. And I'm like, what? I've never heard this before. That means Skippy, you know how Forrest always says two can keep a secret if one of them is dead. I'm paraphrasing. Is that something you knew about, Toby, that Skippy had in fact known this location where the treasure chest is?
I had heard that he did. We actually did a show on who were the possible individuals that Forrest would have showed. And the primary requirement is they all had to be dead, right?
Right.
So that included, the three we included were his father, his brother, and artist, K-Pro.
Oh, Eric Sloan.
Eric Sloan.
Yeah.
Because they all met the basic criteria that one of them had to be dead.
Mhm.
We had heard that Skippy, that Forrest had shared it with Skippy, but we never saw any evidence of it. So you actually apparently have evidence that I didn't have.
I saw the email from Forrest where he says, you're right about Skippy. And then K-Pro goes, oh yeah, Forrest told me that. You know, no big deal, whatever. And I thought,
I
what?
thought it was out there. And maybe it's because I was a loyal person in AGK's chats all the time. I thought that baby was already put to bed. I did not know that it wasn't. And Mike's like, you didn't tell me. And I was like, I thought
I hit the breaking news button. We weren't even on YouTube. I just played it.
We always treated it as a hypothetical because we didn't have the evidence of that note or your comment that says that Forrest told me. That would have been
and I would just say it doesn't really help. I mean, if Skippy did know the location, which obviously he did, Skippy died in 1978. I think Forrest Fenn got out of the military, went to Santa Fe, early 70s, mid 70s. I don't know the exact year.
There was that period of time between leaving the Air Force and coming to Santa Fe where he was in Lubbock, but it was early 70s.
Okay.
That he made the transition. Skippy died in 78. So there was a point at which, and sometime before 1978, Forrest had identified his special place and shared it with at least Skippy. I believe he shared it with his father as well. I can't imagine he wouldn't have.
And to me, it just leads credence to it being in Wyoming, because where did Skippy and Forrest go when they were kids? Every summer was in Yellowstone and on the way to Wyoming.
Right.
And again, umbilically attached, him and his brother, you know, so it all makes sense. I just had never heard it before. So to me, it was breaking
you guys
news.
hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, it's
That's
better.
better.
The reason I thought he had with his father is because he had that strange competitive relationship with his father. And I feel like he would have wanted his father to see it, to say, look at this special place I found. You know, yours was Fishing Bridge or the campsite where we used to hide our gear over the winter, etc. This is my special place. And I think that comes from that competitiveness that I think he experienced with his father.
Well, and I will say some people are like, I'm skeptical. Maybe Mike's seen it, but I haven't seen the email. The person that has that email is in the room. If you would like us to share it, we can mark out your name. We could share it. If not, that's as good as we can get. So there you have it. Okay, so let's go back to some of the legal questions. John, I don't know if you are an expert about federal land, but if the treasure chest was found, and so I'm going to give a little bit of background just in case you don't know, or it may be a repeat for you. There's a lot of crazy searchers in this hunt. Some of them died, some of them destroyed parts of the park, etc. I'm going to focus just on Yellowstone. My theory is the part of the reason that Jack is not saying where the solution is because he obtained it on Yellowstone property, which would be federal land. And there was a lot of damage. And I had some information from a source that said Yellowstone said they were going to go after Forrest for restitution, and they're going to go after the finder because it was abandoned property and he needed to turn it in. Do you have any thoughts about kind of that whole legal implication of finding the chest? Forrest said he thought of everything, but he never thought of all the crazy. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I have some thoughts. I don't know how necessarily Jack would have any obligation to anybody. He was in the same shoes as anyone else who was looking for the treasure. So if it were there illegally, I mean, I don't know what claim the federal government would have to it. Someone left. It's as if you left your picnic basket on a picnic table and someone came by a week later and found it and took it. Or you left your picnic basket on the table and you left it with a note saying anyone who wants it can have it. I don't know what claim the federal government would have to that. I think, I understand that there are lots of theories going around about, why he's not disclosing the information. And this might just be, it sounds to me like it's a created justification for not disclosing, but it's not that credible to me.
So let me add something to that, John. While there are no laws, National Park Service has some regulations that says if I lose my wallet in the park and you come by a week later, let's say my picnic basket, if I forget my picnic basket in the park, you come by a week later to that same picnic area and you pick that picnic basket up, the regulation is that you turn it into the park superintendent, who has the responsibility and is given, I think, 30 days to find out to whom it belonged, and then you can have it. So it isn't that I think that it isn't that anyone broke any laws, but if it was in Yellowstone, which by the way, KPRO knows I don't believe it was, if it was in Yellowstone, there is a requirement to take the valuables into the park superintendent and give them time. Now, had it happened that way, the park superintendent, knowing what it was, would have contacted Fenn and said, did you freely,
Right.
So
Yeah, so it would have been a distinction without a difference. I mean, the law doesn't require meaningless acts. So if in fact whoever left it there wanted someone to find it, as in this case, then had they gone through that regulation, then they just would have, the result would have been the same. You would have ended up with
eventually it would
treasure
end
anyway.
up in their hands.
I mean, I've been to national parks, and every time I go there, they say, "Oh, you can't take anything away. You can't I've been to, the petrified forest. You can't take any of the petrified wood, right? It belongs to." But that's different. I mean, that's actually part of the federal land as opposed to something someone left there.
Right, which is why just a few weeks ago they convicted a gentleman who had been digging up graves on the Park Service's property. So,
oh, well, that's yeah.
And I think maybe on part of Jack's, if he is afraid of possible litigation, that it's just that he's not necessarily afraid that he's going to lose the case or he's going to have to give over the chest. He's just going to have a lot of his time sucked in.
And money.
Money, in battling this thing. I think that's a perfectly valid fear, even if
who wants that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll go back
Toby.
to the memory that Sassy provided us when she found David Blaine's golden orb and recovered the book publishing. David Blaine's book publishing company had a prize of not only the golden orb, but $100,000 in cash. And they agreed to take on all the cases that would come as a result of her finding that object. And they took every one of them on, paid for them, paid the cost of the attorneys that were fighting the cases. They won every one of the cases, but it would have cost more than the $100,000 that Sassy had to pay.
Right.
On. So.
Right. Right.
Okay, my last question legally, and then lots of others. We have lots of other things to discuss. So there was a case. The case initially was brought in that a searcher believed she was hacked by the finder, and Forrest was sued. I don't know all the details enough, but eventually she changed her premise, and she believes that this ending was a spoof, and that's why she was suing. But she dismissed her case. After lots of motions back and forth, but the motion, she had a motion to dismiss it without prejudice. So she has 1 year to bring it back. Her case changed so much, and there's so many motions and things, I won't even get into the detail. Do you believe that the advice of Jack's counsel would be, because the statute of limitations has now passed to be able to file suit, but she has this like 1 year open window? Would you be advising Jack to wait until the end of that period because she could still bring back her case, or once she's kind of taken it out and it changed so many times, you wouldn't worry about that?
Well, I don't know the details of the case, but it sounds like if she changed her theory completely, then she probably doesn't really have much of a case. And I don't know really what kind of case anyone would have against Jack. I mean, Jack is just like you or me or anybody else. I mean, Jack owes no duty to the world of searchers to do anything, including to disclose where he found it.
Well, and that was the hard part, is her premise starting was someone was stalking me. Forrest was actually issued a subpoena to mandate giving the identity. The judge granted it. But now her premise is so different, but he's already been outed because the family of the estate they were going to give up that information the day before it was due to the judge. Jack decided to come out and said, I was outed legally. And that is challenging for me. And now that's why we're kind of in the chaos that we're in now. So it got far enough that there was a subpoena issued, which surprises
Yeah,
many
but
of us.
well, the issuance of a subpoena is pretty pro forma. I mean, you can go to the judge and ask for a subpoena. In fact, in most jurisdictions, the judges don't even issue subpoenas anymore. The litigants or the lawyers themselves issue the subpoenas as if they came from the court, and that's perfectly legal. So the subpoena just says this person might have some information that may be relevant to the subject matter of the case, and that's all it is. It's just a discovery tool, and it's not a judgment on the part of the court that they're right about anything. It just, I'm letting this person see if this other third party to whom, I'm issuing the subpoena has any relevant information.
So I want to go back to when we did the video long time ago, back in 2017, on what we would do if we found the treasure. We did it based on the advice of counsel, and the counsel told us more than once that we had no responsibility to tell anybody where we found it or what we were going to do with it. And I think that's Jack's position. He doesn't have to tell you. Now, I didn't think it out far enough. I was doing it from a self-protection perspective. I didn't want to tell anybody because I thought there would be suits, etc. Jack has already said, and correct me if I'm wrong, K-Pro, Jack has said that the reason he doesn't want to release the location of the find was that and I'm not, these aren't his words, I'm just characterizing it the way I think of it. He didn't want the location desecrated. So
and add to that, he also was worried that searchers might get injured there. It's not a dangerous place, but they might get injured there, which goes against what Forrest said. But those are the two reasons. He has said he doesn't want searchers destroying it. He doesn't want searchers getting hurt.
Right. And the point that I was trying to make is I don't recall Jack ever saying that the reason he's not releasing the location is because he's afraid that he might be sued by a searcher. I don't think that's his issue.
I don't think he would say that either.
Yeah.
Because it might give people.
Because it would do it. It would have the effect of having somebody do it just to do it at that point.
Right.
Yeah. The real answer is he has no obligation. And if I were Jack and I had found it and I didn't want to tell anyone, I would just say, yeah, I don't have any obligation to tell you. I'm not going to make up excuses for, I don't want the land desecrated, or I don't want people getting hurt, or I don't want people suing me.
He doesn't even have to do that, right?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people would like to know where it was, but he doesn't have any. He has no duty to anybody to tell anybody.
Well, and I think that's what's so fascinating right now. Jack didn't want to come out for months and months. Then when he's outed, he now is communicating privately with hundreds and hundreds and thousands of emails. And he'll put out like one written, but he won't put out major press releases, which is kind of interesting. And he'll put out some interviews through a reporter, but he won't do anything directly. And I thought maybe legal. So Rudy, you've been dominating this conversation. Let's talk a little bit to you. And you can talk about either one. You have the Vetti chest. There's been some that think maybe the Vetti chest is so identical to the real chest that it's the replica and this is all a hoax. Have you done any comparisons of the pictures in your chest that's sitting behind you that we all wish we had? Have you done any comparisons to say that whether you think it's possible that that one that was sitting in front of Forrest is a liar and Jack's a liar and it's the real chest is still out there? Or what do you think about that?
No, it would be completely impossible to use the commemorative chest as a fake. I posted a number of pictures of it on Reddit, I think even a few on Thor, before Jack found the real chest, presumably. And everybody knew enough of the details of the real chest that I wasn't posting them to deceive people, but like everyone's like, oh yeah, that's one of the chests that Chris Jones made. He's particularly the surface, the top lid of the chest has a lot more depth to it. And there's a few other little things. Chris also filled in the back of it with details, and I don't think you'd be able to use it as a fake at all.
Can I
It's
ask?
a beautiful piece, but it's just not, it wouldn't convince somebody as being the real chest.
Can I ask if you want to say what number chest you have? I believe they're numbered, correct?
They are numbered. I was supposed to get mine numbered as 10, but I have currently number 74, which is the first one that he made. He numbered that
Gotcha.
one 74. And we were supposed to swap that out at some point, but I haven't been able to reach Chris for a while, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. But
It's just awesome.
it doesn't really matter. I got a much
Yeah.
better deal on it than what he sells them for now. And,
Gotcha.
and if you saw it in person too, in fact, I can grab it and bring it over here.
You know everybody wants
Yes,
to see
please.
it, so
Yes,
yeah.
please. Can we make
It's like weighs like
Rudy-
Let me
43
do-
pounds or something.
Let me
we
do
go on the
speaker
back of
view.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah, let's make Rudy screen the big one and make all of us disappear. Can you do that, Mike?
yeah. Go ahead and talk, Rudy, and you'll be up.
On the back of it, it has the poem carved in,
Oh, whoa.
Wow.
and it's really hefty. But if you're familiar with the actual chest, you can see particularly those columns on the top. They're about twice as much depth as the real chest. So he kind of over exaggerated a few of the features and emphasized them. And I think that was partially intentional because, you know, even when Chris posted the video of this chest when it was first made, and he had all these disclaimers of going, this
Rudy,
isn't real.
Rudy, may I ask you please to hold up the poem again? Just
Yeah.
45 pounds, just lift and lift.
Hold it up.
so you know what that looks like?
What?
Go, thank you. Put it back down. I want you. It looks like the graphics or the font. I'm going to go check real quick. Hold on. From the poem that's written on Fenn's map.
I think it's the map. Yes, I agree.
Let me just take.
It might be.
Hold on.
Well, can you show us the front so we can
Yeah.
see the front portion?
And
'Cause
just-
the front portion is what is on a lot of the pictures that are out there.
And just talk, Rudy. It's whoever's talking is who's going to show. So yeah.
There's what it looks like from the front. Let me adjust it here. You can also see inside. It's just really hefty, but it's all wood lined. It's just a very beautiful piece.
Is it really 45 pounds?
Yeah.
Man, you are strong.
Can we see what the top looks like real quick? Just the top.
Yeah.
Top lid.
There's just the top lid.
That's so cool.
So, and then I guess the back of it here, he said that he sort of made up the detail to go in on the back because I don't know if there was any photos of it to use as modeling. Because he had to make it out of wax, I guess, to make the mold and then design all of that. And I don't know, it's quite a process.
Very nice. Thank you, Rudy.
Well, and the very cool part of that is I think I've seen the actual chest pictures so much. that's not that one. So, and I think a lot
Yeah,
of
you
people
you
were
would never
concerned-
think it's fake, or you'd never
Yeah.
think it was the real one.
And I think a lot of people were concerned when Chris came out with these initially. That's why he made it 43 pounds just on its own. And he made it significantly different. So nobody could do what some are alleging. So I think we put that baby to bed. So tell us a little bit about, if anybody has questions about that chest, please ask. And we can ask Rudy to lift it above his head 10 more times. But Rudy, so tell us a little bit about what you did. I heard about playlist, then becomes a searchable transcript. How do we know that everything on AGK is out there? And are there any other channels you've analyzed? Kind of where is it on Operation Find Jack interacting with tubers? What does that look like to you?
So the first piece that I saw was the one that you guys had. I was watching that show live. I think that was Hooli that had found the first one. Incidentally, not related, I also called into AGK about a week later, twice. I was actively watching the shows at the time. And my own speculation is this was probably Jack calling in right after he had completed a boots on the ground trip. Because you know that those first 2 weeks of June, that's kind of the prime, search season where the snow's gone, but it's still not too expensive and overcrowded for those of us who are up in Wyoming or Montana area. But in any case, there was a few others, or one other that got posted on Thor, and then some of the folks on Reddit had figured out how to search the transcripts. I found a tool that'll search one video at a time, but that didn't make a whole lot of progress. So then I got collected together the stuff the other people were doing and started going over those and analyzing them for additional details. I don't know if anything else has been found yet. I'm not spending quite as much time on the hunt as I was a year ago.
You got to show the
I'm trying to keep up with.
There it is, everybody.
And you got that from the finder, Jack. He was nice to send that to you. That was very nice. So tell us the backstory.
I heard it blew into the chest when you got it from Chris. Is that true?
Yeah, Chris gave me the chest, and this is just Santa falling into there. So I'm not sure where that came from. No, I'm
Express
kidding.
mail from Puerto Rico.
It's made of plastic, just a 3D printed modeled stick. Part of my long-term project of having fakes of all of the Forrest Fenn treasure.
Well, I'm going to ask because I know somebody is going to reach out to you. Do you have any plans to sell that replica chest?
Not currently, but we'll see how desperate I get someday.
Hey, somebody could make you a pretty big offer. So, okay.
It's really a phenomenal piece to see in person. I still remember, like, obviously if you'd found the real chest, you'd have had an even more like mind-blowing experience. But, even going and meeting up with Chris and him opening the box for the first time and seeing it, it's just like, whoa.
I can imagine, yeah.
If I ever went to a meetup or some group gathering where there was people, I would bring it along because I think people would just love to see it in person. It's a very beautiful piece.
So are you going to go to Fenbury this year, August 22nd?
It's on the calendar, but I haven't made specific plans to go there. I'm self-employed, so my work kind of takes me different places. But we'll see.
Mike.
I may try and get out there.
Yes, Toby.
Do me a favor and give me permission to share my screen, and I'll show you the text from the map. And I'm not going to ask Rudy to pick it up again.
You got it. Go ahead.
But then he can.
Toby, are you talking about the text from the map in the back of Too Far to Walk?
No, the map that's in the benchmark map.
Oh,
And
okay.
I think those are actually the same fonts.
Are they?
Yeah.
So this
curious now too.
This is the poem. Can you guys see this?
Yes, we can see it.
Actually, so this is the poem on the benchmark map. This is one of the originals. Fenn signed it 23 of 100. So that's the original one. And it's a calligraphic font, but it's called Spanish Treasure. And it has all those calligraphic marks. But the one that struck me was the title on it. And Rudy, you can look at that, see if there's anything that looks the same, because maybe I was wishing it to be that way.
No, you're right. I'm looking at both of them now because I have Too Far to Walk here, and yeah, he's definitely tried to copy the same font stylings.
Your chess maker.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. All right.
Very nice piece to have. I know there's only a couple of them floating around out there that I know of. So, yeah.
So, but to continue with Kpro's question, yeah, I'm gonna hopefully between the people who are working on that over at Reddit, we can compile if there is any other appearances. I don't think any more have surfaced yet that I'm aware of, but I've talked to a few people on there, and hope if he did call into other places, we will find them. Somebody will.
Yeah, so it's a pretty automated process. I mean, Holly did the hard work. She went for hours and hours listening. But from what I understand, you put all the videos that you want on a playlist, you convert the playlist I found out due to the Americans with Disability Act, with students, et cetera, that you can convert all of those to transcripts. And then you can export those transcripts into a searchable like Word document. It doesn't have to be Word, but a document that you can actually do a control find and find Jack or any other keyword that you want. So that was kind of so the biggest process was getting all those on a playlist, right?
I wasn't involved in that side of it. I have one of the tools that'll let you search through and download the transcripts directly from YouTube, but it only does it on a single video. So the person on Reddit, I think, was under the handle Fishhook. He developed a little formula for searching multiple videos on a playlist at once, as I understand it. And just today, he also posted, or she, I'm not sure, they posted that they're involved in forensic analysis, so they might get involved in the photo side of things too.
Okay, so we had a searcher reach out to Mike today that said, I do this for a living. Do you want to give me the report? And Mike did, because
Not yet, but I will.
Oh, he
I got a
will.
lot
I think
of
that's the
emails.
same person we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. And he said he would look at it and he'd give us his opinion. So I apologize, everybody. We've got a lot of emails after last night's show that I have not gone through yet. I will get that done hopefully tonight, if not tonight, tomorrow morning. But Fuli does point out that the replica chest is still for sale on Vetti. So I just put the link to the website. And it looks like a lot more are sold than I thought because he shows which numbers are no longer available. So check that out.
Well,
If
and I
anybody's
think
interested.
though it's going to be a pretty long delay because I know some people that have been reaching out for a while saying, can I get one? And he can only, I mean, it's very labor intensive. He can only get so many done. That's last I heard. So they might be for sale, but don't think you're going to get yours in the mail tomorrow type of thing.
They're also
Okay.
really expensive now, so just FYI.
Yes, they are. Yes,
Nice.
they are.
Packer Jack asked John about Forrest's right to legally end the hunt and recover the chest. So John, some of us knew that Forrest was everyone knew he was 90. He had an illness that he was managing. He knew he was coming to the end of life. He had many crazy people coming after him. So he decided, so some believe he was going to end the chase. He'd had it out there 10 years. Lots of people had put in lots of money. Did he have a legal right, or could there be a legal issue with him just saying, party's over, I took the chest back, I took my marbles and went home? Do you think anybody could have sued and actually had a legal leg to stand on?
Well, there's no contract per se between Fenn and the world out there that's searching, but there is a concept called detrimental reliance. I mean, you made so the theory would be, look, you made a promise. I relied on that promise by doing exactly what you told me to do to find this thing, and now you're pulling it back. I should at least get what's called my reliance damages, right? The money that I spent, the time that I took to do this. So I think that would probably survive a motion to dismiss in most courts. The problem is you've got a guy, that I mean, he's put this out there for the world to do, so he could be catching hundreds of suits like that. And the bottom line would be, no one would probably ever recover anything because
he's dead for one thing.
Well, yeah, although the claim would survive. I mean, in most cases,
his estate.
Yeah, the claim against the estate would survive against the estate, or could survive against the estate. In California, for example, most causes of action survive the death of the defendant unless it's an absolutely personal obligation, like a personal services contract, where there's only one person who can perform those services. But the claim could survive the statute of limitations. So, I mean, there would be a theory, yeah, against Fenn where that could happen.
And I do know a lot of searchers feel that the poem is a contract between Fenn and the finder, the person who found it. I don't know if that would apply to everybody who's ever looked for it.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I don't know if it's. I wouldn't say the poem is a contract, but you certainly can. There is the theory of in the absence of an express contract, there's this detrimental reliance theory, which implies a contract, or at least implies that that you'll get compensated for the actions you took in reliance, if in fact he then takes away the object of the deal, which is in this case the treasure.
So Lisa has a question, and she is a lawyer that we know and a searcher. And she says, but there's an offer acceptable by performance. Can the offer be revoked before someone finds it?
Well, typically you can, before an offer is accepted, Lisa would know that you can absolutely revoke the offer at any time before it's accepted. And in typical contract law, you would have also what's called consideration. Is there consideration for the promise to pay, or the promise to deliver something, right? So in the normal circumstance, the consideration, say you sell a car, the consideration for the car is the money you pay for the car. So if you make an offer, I'll sell you my car for X amount of dollars, and no one accepts that offer, you can always revoke that offer. If someone puts some money out there and says, yeah, I'm making a counter offer or whatever, then there might be, some claim there. But until that happens, an offeror can always withdraw his or her offer before it's accepted.
Christy and Mike, can I try something else out on John since he's here?
Yes,
Of course.
All right, John. So I was
I'm in the hot
recently
seat
interviewed
today.
by some television people, and they asked me if I had any theories about the ending of the chase, because almost everybody to a person was dissatisfied with the way it ended. And so I gave them my theory. Actually, they asked the question if I had any conspiracy theories, and I said, well, it's not a conspiracy because there were no laws broken. This is what I told them. You tell me whether you think a law was broken. At some point, there were two pressures on Fenn. One, that he knew he was dying. He had a bad ticker. And two, his family wanted this treasure hunt to end because they didn't want to get stuck with it.
Right.
There was just too much trouble for the family. So Fenn, knowing that our friend Jack was looking in the right area and that it was relatively unknown to the search community, says to Jack, I need you to do me a favor, please.
Right.
I'm going to give you the general location of the treasure, and I'd like you to recover it and claim that you found it.
Right.
Because you did. You found the treasure chest.
Right.
And that happened, and then Fenn died.
Right.
So in Fenn's classic parlance, the only way to keep a streak for two people to keep a secret is one of them is dead.
One of them dies. Yeah.
Is there any legal liability either in Fenn's estate or in Jack, a person that was looking for the treasure found?
Yeah, I think that in that case, then you have, then you have some sort of collusion between the parties, and if he in fact found it in a way that wasn't, that he had an advantage that was given to him by the organizer of the event, then it seems to me that, and that may be in fact the reason why he's not saying that would be the most logical reason to me, other than he just wouldn't have any obligation. But if he's concerned, that he might have some liability, that would be the concern, because he got an unfair advantage, and the idea would be that he interfered with the prospective economic advantage of these other people. That would be the theory. And he did it by improper means. That is, he was disclosed some information that the other people didn't have access to. So I think there would be a cause of action. Again, there'd be thousands of people potentially that could have that cause of action. I don't know where it would ultimately, as a practical matter, get anyone, although it might be that the guy would end up with not having the treasure.
And technically, there is no evidence that exists that that actually took place. It is purely theoretical. I wanted to.
Well, there's no evidence that we know of, but we don't know what discovery might find in a lawsuit.
Mhm.
Right?
Well,
There's
and
no
that actually-
evidence that Jack found the chat. Just kidding. Go ahead.
That's also true.
And so
From what I understand.
if there was a lawsuit, another lawsuit or existing lawsuit, et cetera, is Forrest Fenn's emails fair game for discovery of who he communicated with, when he communicated, especially with Jack and all of that communication, especially from June forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that would be in fact, that would probably be the first thing I'd ask for. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for some sort of improper interference with someone's prospective economic advantage, you look to the collusion between the organizer of the event and the person who found it. I mean, you look for his emails. I mean,
Now,
that's the
how
first
does
thing you
that
do.
work? So let's say I sue and say, I can't believe Toby found it. I think Toby's in collusion. Or let's just say Jack's in collusion. I want all of his emails from 2010 on. Is it a third party that sifts through them and gives you ones that are relevant? Or do I just get them all, or my attorney gets them all? How does that discovery part work?
Well, the discovery, you have to ask questions that are relevant to the subject matter of the lawsuit. So you can't say, give me every email you've ever written to anyone in your life from 2010 forward, or give me your hard drive so that I can pick out what I want.
Just the ones to bro.
But you're not
Yeah.
going to trust the person. If I said, okay, Fenn Estate, give me all of Forrest Fenn's emails related to Jack, from Jack, et cetera, we just don't trust them to pick the 4 and go through them. Does a third party company do it, or how does that work?
A third party company can do it, but usually that's not done. I mean, you can always make the argument in a lawsuit, I don't trust the other side to give me everything I've asked for, but that's not enough to get access to their, all of their information, from which you would then, see if it was there. So for example, I mean, take a brick and mortar example of a, take a computer and make it into a house, right? I think you have a file somewhere. I think you have a piece of paper somewhere. So I should be able to go search your house. Or I should be able to go search your entire office because of that one piece of paper that I know you have that you haven't turned over. If you have evidence that that piece of paper exists, then you might get an order that says, yeah, turn over your hard drive so that a forensic examination can be made of it.
Could this have been why, before Jack's attorney even filed anything, and he still hasn't, they gave up, or were going to give up, Jack's name and information per the subpoena? Could they have been concerned? They're going to ask for more and get all of these emails from Forrest, and we don't want to deal with that. So they gave up the information as quickly as possible to get out of this train wreck that's happening right now, legally.
What the information that they gave up was what? Just Jack's identity? Is that?
Yeah, Jack's identity. They were supposed to give up, the judge required the Fenn Estate to give up the name, address, telephone number, and email address. All they said they had, because Forrest had died, was the name and email address, and didn't, I think I'm right here, and didn't have the phone number or address, but said, these are the things we do have.
Right.
Could the reason for that be because they didn't want to go into major discovery of Forrest emails at the time? Could that prevent that can of worms being opened, if you see what I mean on conspiracy theories?
Well, I mean, if they were subpoenaed to provide that information, then they had to provide the information. It's not like, I don't think they're saying, I'm going to provide this information so I don't have to provide any other information. I'm providing the information that I was told to provide. So, I mean, it could always lead potentially to more discovery, or it might satisfy whoever's looking for that. So you never know. I think they were just responding to subpoena.
So we did get 2 super chats. I don't want to forget real quick. 3D Bronze says, could I sue Jack for the scissors? Just joking. Don't sue me, bro. And then Lisa, thank you for the super chat, 3D Bronze, and Lisa the lawyer, also Lisa the lawyer, hashtag, says, thanks, John. I'm just being devil's advocate. We are the devil's right. So thank you for that super chat, guys. It is an interesting legal question, that's for sure. Somebody should make a movie out of it, I guess. Maybe somebody will someday.
Yeah. It is fascinating. It is fascinating. My wife is going around all the time saying, I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Believe that Jack found it on his own, or
Right.
yeah, all right. Well, that's
Yeah,
kind
no,
of the theory. Yeah,
that seems like the prevailing theory, as I understand it, is the way Toby articulated it. Is
There
that
was
he
a,
knew he was dying. He wanted someone to find it before he died,
right.
and he
There was a
kinda,
poll on Thor today. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the last.
no, go ahead.
Saying on Hint of Riches, and a Walk Among Lions did a poll, and he said, now that O's photo analysis is in, what say ye all? Is Jack the Finder? And 61.02% said yes, he is. 5.08% said they're not sure. No, he is not the finder. That was 10%. Jack is a proxy, 22.03%. And 1.69% said Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack ran off with a key and a stick.
Well, now the
it is
interesting
pretty
part of
interesting.
that, I said my category or Toby's category, other categories like he was, but he was nudged. He was, but with a qualifier. So of that 69%, when originally Jack came out, it was right around 50%. So that number has gone up, but it didn't have the qualifiers in there. Do you think he found it alone? Do you think he was both the solver and the finder? Do you think he was nudged by Forrest? Do you think he's the illegitimate son of Forrest? I mean, we've heard so many conspiracy theories. I would be interested of that 69%. Do you think Jack found it with no help exactly like he said he did up to this point? I think that would be interesting because I don't think out of that 69%, everyone's in consensus.
Yeah, there's a whole range of possibilities. And the thing is, there's a ton of stuff that we don't know, but there's also a giant chunk of stuff that we don't know that we don't know. And the thing for me that's really frustrating is there's a bunch of blind spots that's in this narrative. And I find that it's being filled with just speculation. You know, there's a bunch of stuff we don't know. And so people are just inserting a bunch of this information that they're getting from nowhere into this story. And it's been a little bit frustrating to kind of watch this whole thing go down. And I think that's, to your point, that's what the poll showed, is that there aren't enough options. Everybody has a particular belief about the way that this thing went down.
But it's also still evolving, I think. What do you think, Josh?
Sure.
Like from June of last year, I call it the roller coaster in itself of I doubted because of some information that's now out. I doubted it totally. I thought Forrest pulled it or had Jack. I didn't even believe that there was a Jack, or there was, but he was. Then I believed it was this GPS solve and this other guy that we said he knew, and to this day he says he knows Jack. And we rushed up to Yellowstone. Then I started believing, no, we see pictures, we see this, that, other details come out. There's attorneys involved, etc. Okay, Jack's the finder, but maybe he did get nudged. No, Jack's just the finder. I mean, I have been in that poll. I have been in every category of that poll in the last 10 months. Have you guys changed your mind over time? I'd be interested in, Rudy, what your thought is too. But Joshua, have you changed about what bucket are you in of conspiracy theories or just Jack?
I've been operating under the assumption that Jack found the treasure and that the narrative is mostly true. I believe it's the simplest explanation and therefore probably the right one. In everyday life, we don't operate under the assumption that people are lying to you. It's quite the opposite. We assume that what people are saying is true until we have a reason to believe that it isn't. That being said, there's a tremendous value in being skeptical, but you don't go just assuming people are lying to you unless there's evidence of it. And I've been reading the forums and I see a lot of these conspiracy theories, and I don't really see a ton of evidence that Jack is being dishonest. And I wonder how you guys feel about that, whether that I feel like he's been relatively straightforward. And I know I'm probably going to catch a lot of slack from all this. But I don't see a ton of dishonesty coming from his side of things.
Well, so Rudy, let's ask the first question. Where are you on this gauntlet of Jack the Finder to conspiracy theories? And then has Jack lied? Yes or no? Yes or no? No, that's the second. So we have two questions now.
I won't use the word believe, but I accept that Jack is the finder, solver, and retriever based on the evidence that we have so far. So, basically what Joshua just said, I would agree with 100%. It's not that his story is most accurate, but or is completely accurate, because people, exaggerate and summarize details incorrectly and whatnot. But he's presented the best evidence thus far of a finder. Even before the chest was found, I said the evidence that would convince me is a photo of the chest and its contents, and we've gotten that. And to your question, in terms of, I've been at that point from reading the article, the Medium article, from the very first time. I've never deviated from that view, because I haven't seen anything more compelling that people are presenting to as a alternative view.
Toby, what do you think? I know you've been kind of conspiracy and kind of stayed there, even though the conspiracy has evolved a little.
I could make the statement of my beliefs without entering into the realm of the theoretical. But before I do that, I do want to thank Joshua, because the ghost of Donald Rumsfeld just went through my studio. I felt him. Some people will get that joke, some people won't.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
So John, what do you think?
So let me tell you what I believe. I believe that Forrest Fenn hid a treasure, the treasure that he describes. I believe that he published a book that contained a poem that told us where to find the treasure. And I believe that Jack Stoof found the treasure, and the treasure is currently in his possession, right? So those, to the best of our knowledge, are the facts, the Occam's razor of this story. But there is still the possibility that I suggested to John. You could say those four things, those four truths, if you will, because we have to assume that the treasure is in somehow Jack's legal or physical possession. But you could say those four truths and never have to say Fenn asked him to do it on his behalf because he was dying. And because
so it's lying by omission. I'm sorry to say, I consider that
it's what we
lying.
talked about last night, and you know as well as I do that Fenn was the master of telling the truth, but not telling the whole truth.
I understand what you're saying. I believe that is in the category of a lie to me. That does not mean that it's when someone lets me assume something that is completely incorrect. Let me give you an example. If Mike went out today and took $20,000 from our bank account and went and put it on red, and it ends up being black, and he comes in and I said, "How was your day? Did you do anything exciting?" He goes, "No, I had a good day." If he omits the fact that he stole $20,000 of our money, puts it on the wrong color, and we lose, I believe that is lying. Some would say, you didn't ask, did you take any money? Did you do this? You didn't ask the right question. I would say he knows the intent to my question of, hey, anything big happening? I believe that's still a lie. But some would say technically, and I think that's what you're saying, Toby, technically it's not a lie because I didn't ask him something that he gave an untruthful answer.
I'm a Catholic, and I spent part of my early life in a confessional. And honestly, I mastered the art of walking out of there with 3 Our Fathers and 3 Hail Marys, because I told the truth, but I didn't tell the whole truth.
Which is a lie. Oh my gosh. John, where have you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, we did get another super chat. No message. They just wanted a super chat, $4.99. That's all. So, John, when you answer that, I got one more question for you, which is an interesting one. We're going down conspiracy theory avenues here. And that is, what if Forrest Fenn never contacted Jack or gave him any guidance, but Forrest Fenn's lawyer did? And that way, Forrest Fenn has plausible deniability of, I never communicated with Jack, but his lawyer contacted Jack and guided him to the right location. Is what the question from the chat was, is that ethical for the lawyer to do that, in your opinion?
Is it ethical? No, I don't think it's ethical for the lawyer to do that, especially if he doesn't have his client's permission. I think it would be highly unethical if he didn't have his client's permission.
I didn't even think of not having Forrest Fenn's permission. That's interesting.
But secondly, for Forrest for Forrest to claim that he wouldn't that wouldn't have been him speaking, and his lawyer is his agent, so anything that his lawyer does is attributable to him.
Plus, it would have broken the 2 people can keep a secret rule, Forrest Fenn rule.
Well, it would have broken the Forrest Fenn rule, but But if your question, Mike, is whether you can contribute that conduct to Forrest himself, the answer is yes, of course.
So Forrest could have directed his attorney to pick someone. I need this thing over with. I'm not going to do it, but I want you to go pick a searcher, and you don't think that's plausible?
No, it's no difference than Forrest doing it himself.
Okay, gotcha. Legally, and
Correct.
I guess ethically, yeah. Okay.
Legally, that's correct, and ethically, the lawyer, if I were the lawyer, I would say I'm not going to do that because I don't think that's right.
So this brings me up to something that I kind of wanted to talk about. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to be back on this thing again, so I'm not going to get the opportunity to talk
yes,
about
you
it.
will.
Oh, you will.
People. But this is for Toby because I watched the wonderful show that you guys put on yesterday, and I was sort of surprised at your theory about how this thing ended. And so I'm going to say my perception of this thing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but
Okay.
You were thinking that, number one, Forrest knew that he didn't have much longer to live. And he also probably felt some pressure from his family because of all this.
He felt a lot of pressure from his family.
Yeah, because it was nuts. I mean, the imposition that all of this had on his own personal life must have been massive. So I can buy those two things. But then my question for you is how did Jack get involved in this thing? Somebody that he didn't know, maybe that perhaps had the right area. But if he was going to lie about this thing or attempt to deceive people, why not just have Shiloh go pick it up? Or why not have somebody else go pick it up and then just say a random searcher never found it, or a random searcher found it. And he doesn't want to reveal the location, doesn't want his name revealed. Why would you go about with Jack?
I can only express my opinion on the matter because I don't know the facts. But first of all, if he'd asked Shiloh to do it, which seems to be, it's not Occam's razor, but the most rational, logical. Ask my grandson, who is my extremely loyal grandson, to do this. It leaves it in the family. So you push the pressure from Forrest to Shiloh because now Shiloh knows where the treasure was hidden. And that's the big outstanding question. That's the first thing. It remains in the family. It doesn't belong. It isn't someplace else unless Forrest had the time to do that. He knew he was dying. Pressure from the family, get rid of this thing, do whatever you have to. And so asking Shiloh to do it, bringing it back to the vault, leaves it there in the family vault. And now they're stuck with a problem. And I think there was a point, I was going to ask this of Christy yesterday because she had such a good relationship with Forrest. And the question is, what was the most important thing in Forrest Fenn's life? Christy.
I could say broadly relationships. I think he knew his time was coming to an end and he loved people.
Consistently.
I would say family.
Family. That's right. Consistently.
It was relationships in general. He wanted to keep both, but his family, without a doubt. Why did he never go more than a night away from Peggy? Because Peggy was ill and frail and he would not leave her for a night. I was at events where it was just starting to go and he's like, I'm leaving. It wasn't even a question, even though you could tell he was genuinely enjoying it. Okay, I could go on and on. It was absolutely his family and relationships with people in general, but with his family was without a doubt, without a doubt.
So there were two things. Number one, his family was the most important thing at the end of his life. And two, his family was pressuring him not to stick them with this evilness that they thought was out there.
And that's a good point because I think either way they would have been stuck with it.
Yeah. If it didn't,
they had retrieved it themselves, they'd be in possession of it. And if nobody retrieved it, then the family would also still be subject to all the crazy people going out there.
And that in my theory, there's a point at which Fenn, concerned with the potential of his near death and the effort that his family is putting into having him get rid of this, calls Jack Stove, who he knows is a searcher and who he knows is looking in Wyoming. It doesn't even have to be any better than that. And says to Jack, this is what I created last night. He says to Jack, I need you to do me a favor. I need to protect my family. Go ahead.
What is, in terms of like explanatory power though, what would that theory tell us that the exact thing that Toby told us, what does that give us additional in any way? Like, what's the need for that explanation?
It is for me, and I have to do it in the context of what it was for me.
Sure.
I don't want to say I was dissatisfied. We
all were.
Like most of us, always believed that I was going to find the treasure. Everybody who searched for this treasure believed they were going to find the treasure. So there was the disappointment of that day that I found out somebody else found the treasure. And I experienced that disappointment that whole day. As a matter of fact, we went on the air just so I could get rid of it. Luckily, I had Shelley with me, and Shelley said, screw it, we're doing something else. We're going to write a book, blah, blah, blah. You know the rest of that story. But I had the same I experienced the same level of disappointment that everybody else did, because it wasn't me that found the treasure. It was somebody else. And then we see less than one paragraph, a 2-sentence announcement on Dale Neitzel's blog that somebody found the treasure. Here's probably one of the most important events in this man's life. And it ends up 2 sentences on, and forgive me, I'm not being critical. Dale had an outstanding blog. I'm not being critical, but if it was me and somebody found my $2 million treasure, I would call a publicist to call every journalist I'd ever spoken to so that the announcement could be made and I could get this out of my hair. And none of that.
I will have to say there's one significant piece that I think brings a facet that I had a conversation with Forrest about, and actually some people about. Forrest, when he was in his adventures, pretty much never stepped on the toes of his family. He would do those adventures. Peggy had her realm, which was she managed the household. Forrest managed these adventures, and maybe she would help out in the gallery, but that was Forrest's domain. This was the first time that those two worlds clashed, and clashed in a way that the family was at risk, not financially, because Forrest obviously showed he did well there. They genuinely, I'm going to use the word battled about this subject. It needs to stop. Mika almost got kidnapped. Paco is out. I was at their house when Paco got out, and the private investigator wasn't able to tail him before he took off, and they were figuring out who was going to be where with what arms to make sure that if that guy showed up, they were going to be able to protect themselves. This was the first time the family wanted it done, over, finished, and Forrest did not. And so this is where I give some credence to. This was the first time the most important thing to Forrest was in direct contradiction to what he's always had the latitude to do, which was these adventures, these things. He would travel, he'd get on a plane, he would do whatever he needed to do to get his adventure or business going, but it never brought significant discourse with his family. This did, no question about it. This did. So that's where I think there's some credence in the possibility of that, because you got to say the timing. The Forrest, or the June 6th, the treasure was discovered. He passes in September. Peggy passes in October.
Out of a movie.
It breeds conspiracy theories.
So
Okay,
I'm curious though. Oh, sorry. If you're moving on, I don't want.
No. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I've been watching, a lot of your guys' recent shows, and you ask a lot of really great questions, but I don't hear a ton of your opinion. I hear a lot of like, maybe it could be this or that. So I was curious, as a viewer of the show, at this point in time, what is your official opinion about the way that things ended?
I think that's going to be a future show with K-Pro. We were just talking about it today.
Right.
I'm not going to say what it is, but there will be an upcoming show. But I'll let K-Pro
tune in.
I'll let K-Pro answer for herself.
I believe there's a significant piece that the search community does not have that I am trying to build up. Part of the reason I do PowerPoints is because once I put it on there and once we get rolling, I can't take it back. And it's time to just put everything out. I talked to two of my most confidants today and said, I'm just ready, and this is the reason that I have some perspective that I have. Part of the reason I don't put it out is because I try to stay as neutral as I can and open, but there's some pieces that make this not be that just Jack discovered it. I believe Jack is the finder. He has legal rights to it. I believe there's more to the story. And I was deciding today, I said, Mike, should I put it out before or after the Dan book? Because it might shed some light. That might be there. I have asked Jack if he was aware of a couple of things. He has not answered me, which I find more fascinating than if he answered and said no. Jack, I can tell you, if you don't answer, that is how I'm going to present it. And again, if you just said no, that would tell me more than you not answer, or it tells me more. Anyway, that's the reason that I'm kind of back and forth when you have things that alter you. I felt a loyalty to Forrest on some of the things I knew. I'm feeling more of a loyalty to the search community at this point. I still feel awful about what the family's gone through because they didn't deserve any of this, and they were thwarted into this. So that's my long-winded, cryptic, crazy answer to I am building a PowerPoint, and I am going to have to get some, and I'm not going to put out some names because they've already told me. I checked with them today and said, can I put this out? Because you were the one that told me this. And they said, hell no. And it's so hard to do that because I know what the room wants. Here's the people, here's the dates, here's the times. Doesn't matter. Let's throw their safety aside or their just privacy and things. So, so I believe Jack is the finder. I believe there's more to the story. Could it be Toby's theory? Possibly. Could it have been other things? Possibly, but I'm pretty strong that there's more to the story than we know, and it has to relate to the timing of Forrest passing, et cetera. Mike, you know a lot of what I'm going to say. What do you think?
Well, first, I'll say thank you because we had not one, not two, but three super chats. Billy Shaw Jr. says, thanks to the whole panel. You are all my post chase therapy. A just gave a super chat of $9.99 with no message. And Hillary Genga gave a super chat of $10 and said housewarming. So thank you very much for that. But I'll say this, what Billy Shaw Jr. said is correct, that we provide this YouTube channel going live once a week is an outlet for the community to give their opinions, give their conspiracy theories. People don't want it to end, but if it does end, they want to know the answers. And I don't know if we're ever going to come out with it. I have a tendency to think that it will eventually come out. But I'll say this, the thrill of the chase, treasure hunt, worst ending ever. At the same time, the thrill of the chase, treasure hunt, the best treasure hunt ever. It's both together, intertwined. We don't like how it ended because the searcher didn't find it. Only one person could win. We knew that from the beginning, but we want the answers, but I think it's just more important. We had a reporter talk to us and say, you guys are investigating Jack and the clues and where it was. And I said, you know what? Me and K-Pro aren't investigating it so much. We give a place for other people who are investigating it to come on and give their theories and give what they know, share their stories with Forrest Fenn, share emails. And that's kind of what I think our channel has become. Is it's a way to keep Forrest Fenn's memory alive. Yes, we want answers, but a lot of people don't want to let go of the thrill of the chase, even though it's over, because the community is still there and the community lives on. And I hope someday we will get some answers. If it's not from Jack, it'll be from somebody else.
Hashtag, you didn't answer the question.
What was the question?
Do you believe Jack found it out of June 6th on his own accord?
Of course, Jack found
no
it.
help, without any help. There's no conspiracies at all.
Jack found it. I don't think Forrest. I struggle with Forrest just straight up send somebody to go get it without telling everybody. If he did that, I don't have a problem with it. I've always maintained he had a right to end it whenever he wanted to, because it's his treasure hunt. We all had 10 years to find it. He had things going on in his life that may have wanted him to end it or caused him to end it. I just don't think he would have lied about it after the fact. I still think he's the maverick. I still think he's Forrest Fenn. We're like, you know what? I'm going to take this box full of gold. I'm going to go hide it. And if you find it, you can keep it. I think that same spirit would have been, you know what? There's some crazy people out there and I'm going to take it back. And if you don't like it, so what? I'm doing this for my family.
The things that I'm getting ready to put out. Yeah. I shouldn't even put it out then, because I put it out to you and you still think no conspiracy. So then it's a nothing burger and it might just hurt other people. So why even put it out there?
You should put it out just because people want to know. People will want to know. It is, in fact, breaking news, in my opinion. It'll be breaking news for a lot of people. It's kind of a timeline how things happened right before the treasure chest was announced found. And it is interesting. And I just, was it 5 people that died looking for the treasure chest? If Forrest Fenn didn't end it for those after the first death, why would he end it at the end, the last year of his life? I don't know, but you may have some compelling information that maybe people will be like, oh yeah, maybe he did end it.
And more importantly, is the information that you have, is it evidence or is it coincidence? Because
Rudy.
they both feel like the same thing many times. And, it's hard to put our minds back to where we were a year ago, but when you remember how many solves that you read where somebody would start with the idea of what are the odds that all of these pieces came together? And it turns out that the odds were 100% and they were still wrong. So that's the hard part of like distinguishing between the two. And even if you know about those biases, it's still hard to distinguish them.
Hold on, guys.
What was that, Toby?
You just
Oh no, yeah, I was gonna say. I thought that was Mike.
Oh yeah, that's me. Here, let's do this one for that one. Indiana Jones with the $50 super chat. He says on the show yesterday, K-Pro, not to interrupt you, Rudy, but he says, Indiana Jones says on the show yesterday, K-Pro mentioned a quote from Forrest where he said that if your solve isn't simple and doesn't fit on a Post-it note, then find a new solve. I keep my solve Post-it note over my computer and phone webcam. It fits there. And that's true. Forrest did say that to you, K-Pro, isn't that right? And I think many searchers, probably 98%, have overcomplicated the solution with try the wheel, with GPS numbers in the poem. I'm guilty of it. Everybody's guilty of it. I think Forrest said that when the location is known, maybe we should say if it's known, people would be surprised how easy the clues were.
Yeah, and it wasn't to me. It was to the entire search committee. This wasn't a secret thing.
Oh, it wasn't just
you.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
he said it to everybody. And okay, so let's get back to still, Mike. We're so going to talk, Mike, because I need to tell you all the details. I don't tell Mike all the details because plausible deniability. We know the only bad person is me in this couple. So there was a question a long time ago, I think 2 or 3 hours ago, from someone that said, John, in your opinion, is there a legal reason that Jack has not sold the chest? He is saying that something is preventing him at this point from selling the chest. There's a couple theories about what it is, but is there anything preventing him legally that you could think of selling the chest?
Well, not unless he reached some deal after finding it and entered into some sort of agreement with the estate or something like that. But barring that, there's nothing preventing him from getting rid of the chest or any of its contents.
Okay, and I missed so much of the chat tonight, you guys. We tried to get as much as we can. So, Josh, do you have any final questions? Let's go around. Final questions from everybody, anybody. This might take a little bit, or it might take. No, we have it all solved, and we're all moving ahead. So, what do you think, Josh? What questions do you have from expertise? We didn't even get to the AGK stuff from yesterday. This is taking a different direction tonight with a great panel. So that happens. So, Josh,
you never know what you're going to find when. We did get one more super chat. Just A, that's his name, just A, with a $50 super chat, says Preston's Clips. I commented on Dale's blog, let's shut down Montana, Wyoming, and Northern Colorado, but they don't care, F. But you have to remember, A, the context, and he was talking about the weather. He was saying in the wintertime, in the middle of dead winter, don't go searching in Montana, Wyoming, and Northern Colorado. That should be shut down. I don't believe he was talking about the treasure chest isn't there. He was talking about a searcher who got pneumonia from searching. We've covered this before, but thank you for the super chat.
During
we do
the interview.
Yep. And
we know that the day before, Diggin' Gypsy had pneumonia and was searching boots on the ground. So we know it was a dedicated searcher. It wasn't a made up searcher, et cetera. So, okay, back to Joshua. Any questions from anyone on the panel? What'd you think? What are any parting words?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you guys for having me. This has been more than pleasant. I'm going to throw out a question to all of the chat room here because I want to get an idea of where everybody stands. So my question is a yes or no question. Do you believe the story that Jack is told or the narrative that has been told is mostly true? If so, yes. Or if it's mostly false, no. It may not be the best way to phrase that, but I just want to get where everybody kind of stands on this. And the other thing that I kind of wanted to talk about, but I feel like is just maybe deserving of another show from you guys, is the whole thing that with O and the forensic photo analysis that we didn't get to, because that's fascinating.
We have to do a whole show on that. There's
That's
no
got to
doubt.
be a whole thing.
I'd love to have you on if you'd like to be a part of it.
Of course, I would love to be a part of it. So no further questions in that case. I just want to say thank you. It's been a pleasure to talk to all of you.
Yeah. Okay. So Rudy, what do you think? Mostly truthful, mostly not. This guy that we know is Jack, even though that's not his real name. Just kidding, Jack. We know it's Jonathan. But anyway, what do you think? Is it mostly true, mostly not? Where do you stand on the story that Jack has told now that Forrest has passed away?
Yeah, mostly true. We're obviously missing a ton of details. Hopefully Dan's upcoming book might color in some of that. It's not going to answer the questions that everybody wants answered, most likely, but I think it's going to give us more of the story that should satisfy some of us that at least accept Jack as the finder. So at this point, I really don't see anything that could come out that would uproot that. I say I accept him as the finder, but I'm not sure what somebody else could do that would, be more convincing than what he's presented. So I'm open to it, and I'm glad that there's skeptics out there. I think the skeptics are probably louder than the rest of us. Sometimes I get frustrated with them and go on Thor and spar for a few hours and then go, okay, we'll just let those people be and ignore them. But
I always think it's funny, since I know what the multiple handles are, when someone, like, let's just say me, gets on and says something controversial and 4 different people say no, no, no. And it's like, guys, I see your IP. I know you're the same person. It's not 4 people. It's 1. You just really want to make your point. Shenanigans. That's why we use the forums for entertainment like we are right now. Okay,
and they are very entertaining.
Oh, goodness. Toby, what do you think? Jack's, I can kind of guess your answer, but mostly telling the truth, mostly.
Jack Stoof found the treasure, and the treasure is presently in Jack Stoof's possession, either legally or physically.
And one huge caveat, he might not be saying that Forrest told him to go get it.
It doesn't make any difference. It's over. Jack has the treasure, period. So I do have a couple of other things that I want to say. Number 1, John should be on every show. That's just the nature of that beast. So he can correct us all the time. Number 2, I do want to remind every one of you, although you've heard my theory for the second time tonight, I do want to remind every one of you that in 8 years of searching for this treasure, I have never been right about anything. So take it with a grain of salt. And lastly, if you want to continue the conversation and you are an invited member of the new Clubhouse app, I'm going to start an after show conversation on the Clubhouse app called the Forrest Fenn Treasure Hunt, and it will be recorded. So let's see, it's called Forrest Fenn Treasure Hunt After Hours. So join me on Clubhouse if you've been invited. You have to be invited.
Nice. So from the legal, analytical, smart point of view, John, is Jack telling us the truth?
Well, you're going to really hate my answer.
You're going to give a lawyer answer and say it.
No, I'm not. So this frustrates Hillary, my wife, to no end. I have absolutely no opinion on the issue. I'm not, and that's part of the reason maybe why I'm here, is because I'm not as invested in as everyone else is in this, because you guys, Toby in particular, it sounds like you spend so much of your time and energy on this that you've got so much emotion in it. And I don't. And so I always tell Hillary, and she'll be ranting and I'll just drive her crazy, because I just say, she'll say, what do you think? And I'll say, I don't think, I don't have an opinion. And, she thinks I'm telling her that because I'm just trying to be contrary, but it's true. I don't. I have no opinion. And I worry about Toby wanting a lawyer around every week. I don't know about that. Most people want me out of their lives.
No.
The less you're dealing with lawyers, the better off you are. So
So a lot of my my opinions have come from conversations with attorneys that I've paid to have those have those conversations. I like the idea that you could come on and correct us right away and say, no, that's not practical, that's not legal, or it's not moral, or that lawyer would buy. Oh, I'd love having that. You'd make a.
Your wife says you are such a tree. I don't know what that means.
oh, so yeah, her and her partner call me the tree because they just I don't know. They just think I just stand there and I don't have any emotion about anything, I guess.
Yeah.
And so,
No, I think it would be fun just to have someone who read the comments in the chat and asked John to either validate them or dispute them from a legal perspective. We could make a show on that.
Yeah. There's legal.
Yes, we could.
So John, your brother named Mike the non-emotional tree as well, where I get so worked up about this Forrest stuff, and he's like, it's over. Why do we care? So it sounds like you guys are brothers. Mike, what is
From
your
another mother.
perspective?
Well, I'm going to transition. I'm going to say thank you to everybody on the panel. You guys are what makes the show what it is. So we really appreciate it. If anybody else out there in YouTube land and the Thrill of the Chase community would like to be on a future panel, email myself, Cowlazars@gmail.com, or Christy at kpro3@aol.com. Yeah, I know, AOL. You probably have better luck if you email me, though. But I just want to remind everybody just because you have so many emails to go through. That's all.
I
That's
went through
all.
mine today. How are yours doing?
Yeah, I haven't gone through mine yet. But we are going to give away not one gift card, but 2 gift cards to this Arizona treasure hunt. And I'm going to explain that in a minute. I will say, as far as the Thrill of the Chase, I believe there is more to come. I think the word will get out whether Jack wants it to or not. And we may not like what that word is, or we may say, see, I was right all along, but you still don't have the treasure chest. You know what I mean? The ending is over. We just need to know how it ended is what everybody wants to know.
Well, and somebody
we'll
said in
see.
chat, Jack owes us nothing. Right.
Mhm.
He owes us so much of nothing. He doesn't get to control us talking about it. I am okay from a legal and even ethical standpoint that he's keeping his mouth shut, but he doesn't then get to say, take your marbles and go home, y'all. You haven't gotten the email I've gotten, and I didn't get it very nicely. I know it was a bad moment for you, Jack. And like I always tell Mike, and I accept your apology. And Mike goes, but I didn't apologize. I know you don't have to. I did it on your behalf. And so all I'm going to say is I do think there's more to the story. I would bet my Bears tickets on it. But do I think Jack is mostly telling the truth? Yes, but I think omission, when you are leading us down a different path than factual, based on omission, I think so many things have been omitted. Key pieces. Dan Barbarosi's book, I do not believe we'll have that, but we will love it. So I just think there's more. Again, Jack, you do not owe us anything more than allowing us our right to be able just to chat about it. I've said this many times. I'll say it one last time. We're on 11 years. Jack's been around about a year. Some of the people suing think that they're more important than the 11 years. No, it's not about me. And I told this to Forrest. Forrest, this is bigger than you. You don't get a control thing. This is bigger than you. There's a community that loves each other. People are meeting, getting married. People are that. I can go on and on. This is bigger than any one person. Some people are more important in the aspect of more to the story. Of course, Forrest, of course, Jack, of course, a few others. But for the most part, everyone's pretty much equal. If you wonder why we have 335 people in live chat, and we'll have probably a few thousand watching this just in the next 24 hours. It's because this was more than a treasure hunt. This was just huge in our society and time, legal perspective, human behavior, COVID time, people helping people try to find when a searcher went missing. This is every aspect of human behavior wrapped into one. And the cool part is, since Jack's not putting the solution out, we get to talk about it for years to come. So I want to thank everybody for being here. So much more that's going to happen. I'm going back and forth now on what I thought would be groundbreaking news and doesn't even convince my own husband.
Well, I don't know all of it. And when you present it in one of your awesome PowerPoints, maybe something will click where I'm like, oh yeah, Forrest ended it, no doubt. So We'll do that live. We don't discuss it here. We discuss it live with all of you, so everybody can make their own decision. So I'm looking forward to it.
I think we have a path to the solution now too. I'm a lot more optimistic now that Jack has, communicated so much new information. And I think over the next year or so, even though I'm not spending the same level of time with it, I think there's a series of steps that can be followed to try to copy his methodology and follow that through to its conclusion and see if we can come up with the same evidence. I don't think it'll get us to the exact spot, but I think it'll get us to the region or the area. And that would be enough for me.
Yeah, the one tuber that I know and I believe has the information, they said exactly that. I didn't need the exact spot. The general location gave me closure that day. And I thought, yes, that's why you should share it with us. We'll still take that show if you want it to be.
Mhm.
I think that's all we need. In my opinion, I don't need the exact spot. The general location sure would make sense. And we would all go, totally makes sense. That's what we need. Tuber, Jack, any of the other people that know the location, I think we're up to a dozen. Any of those dozen people, we will do a show anytime you would like. But again, thank you all for being here. Mike, wrap it up with all the other things.
Okay, we're going to give away not one, but 2 gift cards to Legend Has It, legendhasit.net. It is a treasure hunt in Arizona. And I've got an update from the creators. And I realized I actually said the wrong thing. And this is why we're giving away 2 gift cards. We went live last Thursday with the creators of Legend Has It. And at that time, it was comment on that video. We'll do comment picker. But on tonight, I said comment on the show we did yesterday with Toby. So I'm going to do a comment picker from both videos, and we'll give away 2 gift cards. But here's the update. And the panel, if you want to stick around, great. If you want to jump off, that's not a problem. This is the update from the Legend Has It people. They say, first off, assuming all orders that have been placed reach the end of their preparation period, if you go to legendhasit.net, you'll understand what that is. The treasure is now worth over $1,700. It's $40 in order to purchase this treasure hunt. We're going to give away 2 gift cards for it tonight. That's definitely enough to cover travel costs, plus leave enough extra to make it worth the trip. Second, by popular demand, because we talked about this on the show, we've decided that we will, in fact, reveal the solution to each treasure hunt. No jacking around here. Get it? No jacking around. I thought that was pretty good.
See, Jack's famous for something.
Because I told him, I go, you got to release a solution. You cannot leave it up to the finder because you're going to have the same situation. We will wait some weeks before the reveal to give others a chance to solve it on their own. How long this will be is yet to be decided, but we will give the solution. Third, we want to give everyone who completes a hunt a chance to receive some sort of public recognition for their accomplishment. So anyone... nice. So anyone is welcome to send us a picture of themselves next to that hunt's key, and we will post them online. So in other words, if you find the key, and again, legendhasit.net will give you the details, send them a picture even after the treasure hunt's over. They will post it on their website. And fourth, they're going to do yet another giveaway. They are. And that's to encourage team participation. Any and all gift card purchases made tomorrow by midnight will be entered into a giveaway for another free hunt. So, okay, here we go. Throughout the show tonight, I've been giving the video links. I'm going to do it one more time. Go comment there. You got about 2 minutes, and then I will randomly choose the winner. Let's see if I did that right. I think I
Mike
did.
and Christy, I'm going to move over to Clubhouse because Shelley will be there. So I wanted to thank the both of you for inviting me
Yeah.
in again. Thank you very much. I thought after last night, I'd never hear from you again. Rudy,
Thanks, Toby.
nice to see you again. Josh and John, nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet you guys.
And John, I look forward to seeing you on future programming.
Thank you so much.
Hillary's gonna make you.
I know she's. I'm gonna sign off too. I did get a chance. I don't know if you guys saw it. That was my dog Goliath. He's 150 pounds. He says
That's why he's
hello
called
and
Goliath.
goodbye. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Hopefully. Thanks a lot
And-
for having me.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
And
Thanks,
Thank
Toby.
you.
thanks for watching. We appreciate it.
Okay, here we go. We're going to share the screen. I'm going to go to comment picker. And again, you've got to be in the chat watching in order to win, everybody. So the first video is going to be the one with where Toby was on Sunday night. So what we do is we take the link, we put it here, paste, we say filter duplicates, get YouTube comments, There are 60 unique comments, and we say start a raffle, pick one. Milan Fenner. Hey, our buddy Milan. We know Milan. So Milan, you have a free gift card to Legend Has It. And that's that one. And then we will do the other one, which is the Legend Has It video from last Thursday. If you're in Arizona, I would suggest you go watch the video and you'll understand what the treasure hunt's all about. And if we come here, we put in this link and we say filter duplicates. This one's 37 and we say pick one. And that winner is I Love Lucy. Hey, I know Lucy as well. So Milan and I Love Lucy, you've both got gift cards to legendhasit.net. And there it is. We go live Mondays and Thursdays, everybody. Make sure you subscribe. We talk about the thrill of the chase. No, I'll kick it back to you, K-Pro. We talk about other treasure hunts that are ongoing because they're fun, and we don't want the treasure hunt community to die, which it never will. Go ahead, K-Pro.
But this Thursday, my wonderful husband bought me tickets to Penn and Teller up front. And so we are not going to have a show on Thursday. I will be preparing my PowerPoint because last time I was on Penn and Teller, they brought me up on stage and they did a bunch of tricks for and Mike's like, well, they said that I couldn't video it. I'm like, did you get any of it? He's like, no.
Oh, yeah. I'll get it this time. So yeah, this is Penn and Teller's first show since the pandemic, the first show back at the Rio here in Las Vegas. So we're going to go check that out. No show Thursday, but if I know K-Pro, and I do, we will be going live over the weekend with her top secret, double secret probation PowerPoint to give you guys the info, and we'll see what you guys think. So make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you are notified when we go live.
Mark says he's married to Lucy. You got some explaining to do to Lisa. So it's been fun, guys. I'd love to have, I know you guys, it'll be interesting. I don't know how things are going to unravel, but I know you guys are vested and into it. Let's see what happens. And then we have Dan's book coming out in 3 weeks. So this is going to get fun. It's going to get entertaining. And then I think the chest is going up for sale soon. So anyway, okay, well, we have another Zoom to do, so we need to go. It's been fun. We will circle back. We have lots more to talk about, but it won't be Thursday. So somebody else go live. And we will for sure. We'll see you probably over the weekend. That'd be my guess.
Okay, Joshua, Rudy, again, thank you for coming on. And of course, you're welcome back. Yeah. We do appreciate it. Thanks for the super chats, everybody. And thanks for the support. And we'll probably see you over the weekend.